escaping Egypt, he said, and I need you to remember this prayer, he said, Rabbi najjini min al-qawmi al-zalimin, Master, rescue me from the wrongdoing people. I don't need you to know the Arabic. Rescue me from the who? Wrongdoing people. And when he makes this dua, he's out of Egypt. He ends up in Madian, lives 10, gets married. He's no longer being hunted by the most mighty empire on earth. The biggest police, the biggest military state on the planet is looking to find and kill one man and they can't find him. He's hiding out in this small town of Madian. For 10 years he's safe. In other words, for 10 years, Allah answered his prayer. What was his prayer? Rescue me from who? The wrongdoing people. And he was rescued. Sometimes you find yourself, or I find myself in a situation where it seems like there's no escape. And there are people around that are a source of great trouble, abuse, you feel some kind of you're in some kind of a hostage situation, and all you can do is, Ya Allah, rescue me from these wrongdoing people. You can't make dua, Ya Allah, just one bus accident, please. Just one time, if they can just fall down the stairs, that would be really great. No, you can't make those kinds of du'as. You don't make dua to hurt someone else, but you can ask Allah to rescue you, to protect you. And that's what he did. He asked Allah, because he had no way of escaping. So he says, Rabbi najjini min al-qawmi al-zalimin. And he escapes. And Allah answered his dua. This is where I want to start. He's up on the mountain. His family's down waiting for him. It's nighttime. And Allah says, وَإِذْ نَادَى رَبُّكَ مُوسَى, when your master called on to Musa, أَنِئْتِ الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ, go back to the wrongdoing people. Why is that important? What was his dua again? Rescue me from who? The wrongdoing people. And he's been thanking Allah every day. Ya Allah, I thank you so much. You rescued me from the wrongdoing people. You rescued me from the wrongdoing people. And he finally gets to have a conversation with Allah. And Allah tells him, yeah, I need you to what? Go back to the wrongdoing people. And this is part of Allah's plan. And there's a lesson in that for you and me too. Because part of the reason I want to share this story with you, and it's so important, is because the story of Musa alayhi salam was told to the Prophet because the story of Musa alayhi salam is actually very much like the story of the Prophet himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah rescued him from the wrongdoing people, yes or no? And he rescued him and he sent him to Medina. But when he went to Medina, he showed him a dream that he has to come back to what? To Makkah, come back to the wrongdoing people. Musa alayhi salam was given this instruction, you need to go back to the wrongdoing people. Sometimes Allah helps you escape wrongdoing people. He gets you away. And when you go away, maybe you meet two righteous individuals like Timon and Pumbaa, who live a worry-free philosophy. Right? What is it called? What's it called? Thank you. Akuna Matata. MashaAllah, the Islamic knowledge is impressive in the audience. Akuna Matata, which is clearly a wonderful phrase. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Right? And you need that time, you need a few years to get bigger and stronger, until finally, by the way, which lion am I talking about that gets bigger and stronger? What's his name? See that? This is why, mashallah, this is a religious community. I know you guys. Simba rahimahullah meets Timon and Pumbaa radiyallahu anhuma, and then he made hijrah to them, and then they spend their 10 years together, and eventually, you know what happens in The Lion King? When he's old enough, one day there's a monkey. Anybody know the monkey's name? I want to know. How's, mashallah, Islamic history in this room is impressive. Rafiki hits him on the head in the original with a staff. This is important. Hits him with what? A staff. And he says, I know your father. And then he shows him a vision, a heavenly vision of his father Mufasa. And Mufasa tells Simba to do what? Go back. Go back to the wrongdoing person, isn't it? Actually, that part of the story, him escaping into the desert, him becoming stronger, and eventually seeing a heavenly vision, and the heavenly vision tells him, go back to the wrongdoing people again, is stolen directly from who? From Musa alayhi salam. That's actually, so the next time you're watching a Disney film, and your parents say, what are you doing? You say, I'm studying tafsir. That's what you're doing. But anyway, the point is, that sometimes Allah gets you away from wrongdoing people, long enough that you heal, that you become stronger. But maybe the point was that you go back and you have to face those wrongdoing people eventually. Because if you don't face them, they will have other people that need to run away from them. And maybe some of their victims need to become their biggest problem. They need to be the ones to challenge them. Maybe that's what the plan is with Allah all along. So Allah tells him to run away from or escapes him from the wrongdoing people. 10 years later, he's up on the mountain. Allah says, أَنِئْتِ الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Go back to the wrongdoing people. قَوْمَ فِرْعَوْنَ أَلَا يَتَّقُونَ. The people, the nation of the Pharaoh. The nation of the Pharaoh. By the way, if your babies are crying, it's totally fine. But if they're crying for 3 minutes or longer, then take a quick walk and come back. Because, I mean, I actually like the sound of babies. I'd rather hold a baby myself. You know what I'm talking about. But I don't mean to offend, but yes, you know, some babies, by the way, every time I tell the story of Musa alayhi salam, there's a crying baby. Which I think is for dramatic effect. Oh, gosh. Musa, anyway. It's this true story. I was teaching this a long time ago. One of the episodes in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and there was a huge crowd, 1,800 people, and all the way in the back there was a kid that Allah had given this special set of lungs. He was loud. I had a mic on. This is in a convention center, and he was louder than me. He was impressive. So I had to stop my story and go find him because I needed to appreciate this like soprano voice. And I kid you not, I asked, hey, what's his name? They said Musa. And I was like, yeah, figures. But anyway, go back to the wrongdoing people. And Allah, Musa alayhi salam is thinking, hopefully it's some other wrongdoing people. It can't be the Pharaoh, because Allah, I already made dua to Allah to get me away from them. So, I mean, hopefully there's some other wrongdoing people around. Allah clarifies in the next ayah and says, قَوْمَ فِرْعَوْنَ أَلَا يَتَّقُونَ. No, I mean the nation of the Pharaoh. They shouldn't they be the ones to protect themselves? And this is a phrase that requires some attention. Allah tells Musa, the people of the Pharaoh should be worried and try to protect themselves. How many people are in the army of Musa alayhi salam? One person, fugitive from the law, wanted for murder, unarmed. Unarmed. And what does the Pharaoh have? The largest army on earth. The mightiest superpower on the planet at the time. The most advanced architecture on the planet at the time. The most intimidating, naval forces, land forces today. That's how powerful they were. And Allah is telling Musa alayhi salam, who was one man, and the order was, among the authorities, the order was, as soon as you find him, kill him. As soon as you find him, kill him. And Allah tells Musa, yeah, no problem, go back to the wrongdoing nation. They should be the ones that should seek protection. What? They should be the ones to seek protection? That kind of sounds a little... And Musa alayhi salam is the one who ran for his life, remember? And it's like Allah is saying, no, you don't need security, they need security. And that's what Allah tells him on top of that mountain. Why? Because Allah is letting him know that when Allah is behind you, it doesn't matter how powerful a bully is. There are people in your life that are pretty powerful, that have the power or the threat to hurt you in some way. Maybe they're physically more powerful than you are. Maybe they're financially more powerful than you are. Maybe they're socially more powerful than you are. Maybe their voice is louder than your voice is. Maybe there are people you can't escape from. Maybe you're making the same kind of dua like Musa, Ya Allah, rescue me from these wrongdoing people. Get me away from them. And maybe you still can't find an escape. But Allah is telling us that people that do wrong, you're not the one that needs to be scared. Who needs to be scared? They are. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. Because now Musa is going to respond. Musa is one of 5 messengers in the Quran that had the greatest commitment to Allah. Okay, they're called Ulul Azmi min ar-Rusul. You don't have to know the Arabic, but they're 5 messengers that had some of the greatest commitment to Allah ever. And Musa is talked about more than any other prophet. So he's like the super role model in the Quran for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. One thing you know about prophets is when Allah tells them to do something, they what? They do it. They do it. And mashallah, since your knowledge of Disney is so impressive, let me ask you a side question. In Arabic we say sami'na wa. Wow. Lots of Arabic in the house. We hear and we what? We hear and we obey. And the biggest example of we hear and we obey is obviously prophets, right? As soon as prophets hear Allah tell them something, they what? They do it. Ibrahim alayhi salam is told, go jump in a fire. He doesn't turn to Allah and say, it's kind of hot. He jumps in. Or he's told to slaughter his son. He says, Ya Allah, it's a baby. Can I take a lamb instead? A goat maybe? Now, how about cut some carrots instead? No, he says, Allah told me to do it, I'm going to do it. That's it. You know, when prophets are told to do something, they what? Do it. So Allah just told Musa to do something, yes or no? What did he tell him to do? Go back. So I expect, because he's a prophet, and Allah is talking to him, and Allah isn't even talking to him indirectly, Allah is speaking to him completely directly, right in front of him. He's speaking, he can hear Allah himself. You know, behind the veil, he can hear Allah himself speak to him directly, and Allah is telling him, go back to the wrongdoing people. At this point, I would think, Musa alayhi salam is going to say, I hear and I what? Obey. Right away, my master. I'm going to go. Here's what Musa says. He doesn't say one thing. He says 5 things. He says 5 things. And before we're done, maybe even before this first break, I'm going to make sure you know those 5 things by heart. You're all going to know them, and you're not going to take any notes. And when I say don't take any notes, I'm only talking to the women. Because men don't take notes. We don't have that problem. We're genetically incapable of that issue. Telling men to take notes is the same as telling them to go into a coma. If you see some of my students' notes, if you ever see those patients that have a machine stuck to them and the heart rate monitor, that's what their notes look like. And some of the students, the full-time students I had, some of them that were women, their notes, they write everything down. I sneeze, they write down alhamdulillah, they write everything down. Why are you writing everything down? Calm down. But anyhow, so you're not taking any notes, but I will expect you to remember them, and I'll make sure that you do. Let's see, how many things did he say again? Okay, and what did Allah tell him to do? Go back. Look, the thing is, when Allah tells you to do something, I only expect to hear one thing. Yes. That's all I expect to hear. But he's going to tell him 5 things. Number 1, he says, Rabbi inni akhafu an yukadhibun. Master, I'm really scared that they're going to call me a liar. I'm scared that they're going to call me a liar. Wait, you're talking to Allah right now. You should be scared of who? Allah. And you're going to talk to Allah and tell him you're scared of people calling you a liar? There are some people in the ummah, Allah bless them, they are more Islamic than Islam. So you'll hear them say things like, when you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should fear nothing else. Wait, hold on a second. Because I'm pretty sure Musa fears Allah, yes or no? And he's talking to Allah directly, and he still says, I'm scared. And he doesn't say, Ya Allah, I only fear you. What is he afraid? What was number 1 again? They're going to call him a liar. That's number 1. That's pretty important. On a side note, it reminds me of something crazy. Today I was liar. I was like, Anyhow, so they're going to call me a liar. And what's going to happen next? Number 2? My chest is going to get tight. Okay. وَلَا يَنْطَلِقُ لِسَانِي. And my chest is going to become tight, and my tongue will stop moving. My tongue will stop moving. That's 3 now. They're going to call me a liar. I forgot the second one. My chest will get tight, and then my tongue will stop moving. Let me tell you, these 3 are connected to each other. When they call me a liar, it's going to make me feel bad. It's going to make me feel anxious. It's going to make me feel frustrated. How can you call me a liar? I'm not lying. And when they all gang up on me like that and bully me like that, I'm going to start having maybe a panic attack. And when a person has a panic attack, they have a hard time breathing. And when they have a hard time breathing, it's described as your chest becoming what? Tight. Like I can't. No, I'm not lying. Why are you saying that? That's what's going to happen to him. And when that happens to a person, when they have a panic attack and they're being insulted and attacked, then they're not able to think clearly or say what they were originally going to say. So they forget what they were going to say, and he says, my tongue will stop what? Moving. I mean, you want me to go back and talk to them, but they're going to call me a liar. That's going to give me a panic attack. My chest will become tight, and when I get a panic attack, I won't be able to say anything. I can't speak when I get a panic attack. And I'll come back to that in a second and talk about how that applies to us, but we've got 3 things so far. How many things we're supposed to get? 5. So let's go to number 4. Number 4. He says, Ya Allah, thank you for the opportunity, but since I can't speak that well, I know someone who's like really good at speaking. My brother, he's like awesome. So فَأَرْسِلْ إِلَىٰ Harun. Could you give this mission to Harun instead? Just, I can't do it. Give it to who? Give it to Harun. Send this job to Harun. And in other places in the Quran, he even explains to Allah why. هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا. He's a better speaker than I am. He could do it. I can't do it, Ya Allah. I told you just why I can't do it. You know? This is why I can't obey you. Because I have a problem. I get scared because of their insults, and then I'm going to get panic attacks, my chest will become tight, and then I won't be able to speak, and because I can't speak, I'm no good for this job. Someone I know is much better. Who is who? Harun. That's number 4. Give it to Harun. Fa arsil ila Harun. This is called al-fa as-sababiyya. Therefore send it to Harun. Therefore give it to Harun. And then he adds last one. Number 5, yeah? But before I tell you number 5, impress me. What's number 1? They'll call me a liar. What's number 2? My chest will get tight. Number 3. My tongue will stop moving. Number 4. Give it to Harun. Here's number 5. He says, وَلَهُمْ عَلَيَّ ذَنْبٌ فَأَخَافُ أَن يَقْتُلُونَ. They have a crime recorded against me. They have a crime recorded against me. And therefore I'm scared that they're going to kill me. I'm terrified that they will kill me. We'll make it summarized, they will kill me, is number 5. So 5 things, yeah? Okay, I'm not going to ask you for all 5 now. I'll just ask you what number 1 was. I'm afraid they will call me a liar. What was number 5? I'm afraid that they will. So it started with fear, and it also ended with fear. 5 things, and number 1 and number 5 are both fear. But they're different. The first fear was a fear of what? Being called a liar. Which means it was fear of being humiliated. It was fear of being publicly insulted. It was fear of being falsely accused. It was fear of being degraded, embarrassed. You understand that? And when somebody's being degraded or embarrassed, that doesn't physically hurt. You don't bleed because somebody called you a liar. No bones break when somebody calls you a liar. You're not physically in any pain because somebody called you a liar. But in number 5, what was his fear? They're going to kill me. Isn't that physical pain? Yeah? To him, being humiliated is a much bigger fear than being killed. Because you would think that he should say number 5 as number 1. After all, when he ran away from Egypt, he was afraid that they were going to what? They were going to kill him. So you would think his first problem of being told to go back is, Ya Allah, how can I go back? I'm terrified they're going to kill me. And by the way, if number 5 happens, if he does get killed, then the other 4 are no longer a problem. It's already over. Nothing to worry about no more. But he puts that as number 5. This is Allah's way of telling us something very powerful. Human beings are not like other animals. If you insult a cat or a cockroach, you ugly, useless insect, you filthy creature, it is not affected at all. You can yell at a mouse all you want. It's not having a bad day because of the way you treated it. The only way you can harm an animal is by physically harming an animal. Some animals can have emotional connection. We're not talking about that. But for the most part, you can yell at a pigeon all you want. It's still going to do what it does. You know? It's going to mess up your car no matter what you do. Right? But human beings, you go to work and somebody insults you at work. Some manager accuses you of stealing something, or somebody accuses you of cheating, or somebody else accuses you of lying, or somebody else accuses you of you're doing something you haven't done, and you feel pain anyway. And it's so powerful that it can be more devastating than physical pain. You know, the most important example of that in the Quran is Maryam. When she had her baby, Isa, she was going to go back with the baby back to her Muslim community, back to the masjid. But everybody there knew that she's not married. So they were going to ask her, where did this baby come from? And this thought that she has to answer that question was so devastating to her that in the Quran, Allah tells us her words. He says, "Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha." If only I could be dead before this happens. The fear of being humiliated is so powerful, it's even scarier than being killed. If you had to pick between the two, Maryam picked which one? Death. Musa, if he had to pick which one is number one, which one is first and which one is last, what did he? Humiliation. And you know what? Alhamdulillah, Muslims understand that because we're people of the Quran and we've had the Quran for 1400 plus years. Therefore, we never humiliate anyone, just like we don't kill anybody. We understand that these two things are really serious to Allah. Therefore, we never make fun of anyone, we never insult anyone, we never accuse anyone, we never troll anyone, we never make ugly comments about anyone on social media, we don't text anyone about anything like that, we never say mean words. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us Islam, therefore everybody, the kuffar have that problem. But we, never. Because we have Quran and stuff. I just gaslighted you. But anyway. But the point is, you understand how serious this is, yeah? To be humiliated. And this is important because Allah is teaching us that even when you're a prophet, even when you're speaking directly to Allah, and Allah is telling you to do something, then even though you fear Allah, when you're talking directly to Him, the fear of being humiliated doesn't go away. The fear of people's words doesn't go away. People's words are serious business. It's not a small thing. It can even terrify a prophet. And he can tell Allah about it. He can say, Allah, I'm scared, they're going to call me a liar. And it's a pretty remarkable thing that Allah Azza wa Jal mentions that, because that is a fear many people live with. And because of that fear, they don't stand up to the wrongdoing people. You see, Musa had to stand up to the wrongdoing people, right? And his first fear was, if I stand up to them, they're going to start humiliating me. That's terrifying. That's why I'm going to stay in a corner and let them do what they do, because it's too scary. Their words are too scary. What was the second thing after, I'm afraid they're going to call me a liar? Good. My chest is going to get tight. My chest, one at a time. My chest, I'm happy you got it. My chest is going to get tight. What did I say the chest going to get tight means? It means you get panic attacks. Some of you, mashallah, are very well educated, or you have good jobs, you're confident in your work, you know what you're doing. You're professionals, you're managers, you're engineers, you're doctors, you're lawyers, you're mechanics, you're accountants. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. You do whatever you do, and people in your work know that you know what you're talking about. You're versed in your field, you're articulate, you're able to express yourself. But when you are dealing with someone who can humiliate you, then even though you're so capable of speaking and expressing yourself, there are some people who can just say the wrong kind of words, and all of a sudden your entire ability to speak disappears. Because your chest becomes what? Your chest gets tight, and you're no longer the person you are. Sometimes the wrongdoing people are very close to you. Sometimes wrongdoing people, like in the Prophet's lives, the worst wrongdoing people were usually family. The Pharaoh is actually the adopting father of Musa, so he's kind of family, right? Ibrahim a.s. had to deal with his dad. The Prophet a.s. had to deal with his uncles. So in a lot of stories in the Quran, the wrongdoing people are who? They're family. Don't look at your family right now, hold on. And it's really hard sometimes to go and confront family and say, hey, that was wrong. That wasn't okay. Because what they will say to you can be so devastating that you don't know how to respond. Like you need to talk to your uncle about how he mistreats your aunt. And you need to go and say, Uncle, you need to stop pushing auntie down the stairs. It's not okay. I think that needs to stop now. It's enough. Next time that happens, I'm going to call the police. And your uncle looks at you and says, you're going to talk to me like that? Huh? This is why I applied for your green card? They'll start talking to you, and then you know what's going to happen to you? Your chest is going to start becoming what? Tight. You won't know what to say, and when you say, and they'll say, what? Exactly, that's what I thought. And then 2 hours later, when your neurons return back to normal function, you'll say to yourself, I had the best answer. I should have said this. But it's not at the time, because at the time, your chest became tight and your tongue didn't move. So Musa is right. Sometimes you can have the right answer. You know what you were going to say, but when you're confronted with that situation, it just disappears. Your brain starts melting out. You have a total meltdown, and you're no longer as articulate as you once were. And that's why he says, I'm not capable of handling that kind of pressure, that kind of anxiety, that kind of stress. I know someone who's better at that. Who's who? That's why it's number 4. Just give it to Harun instead. I can't do it. And this is important because Musa doesn't believe that he's capable of what Allah wants him to do. Because he recognizes that he's weak in these things. And so he's like, somebody else needs to do this. I can't. And many of you find yourself in that position. You think of yourself as, I can't do that. Somebody else needs to do that because I can't. I know myself. I can't handle it. And he literally tells Allah, Ya Allah, I can't handle this. Give it to Harun. Some interpret this as say, I can't do it alone. Give it to Harun also. Give it to Harun. That's also an interpretation. I'm actually more compelled of the argument that he just said, give it to Harun, and not just in addition to me. He mentioned all of his weaknesses and then said, give it to Harun, as if to say, look, here's why I can't, and here's why he's better. He should do it. I shouldn't do it. And by the way, who is Harun to him? That's his brother. How many people here have siblings, brothers or sisters? You're a Muslim, I don't have to ask. Some of you girls, you invite one of your friends over to your house, and these girls look at one of your sisters and say, wow, your older sister, she's so pretty. Oh, the way it burns you. She's not. You don't understand. That's like 8 inches of makeup. Let me show you what she really looks like. I recorded it. And then you take a clip of like Jurassic Park when the dinosaur first came out of the egg. That's my sister. That's what she really looks like. Because you can't acknowledge something good about your sibling. It hurts. When somebody compliments them and says, wow, they're so smart. No, you don't know how stupid they are. Why can't you see the truth? But Musa alayhi salam is in front of Allah. Allah is giving him a job. And he says what? Who can do this better? My brother. If any of you got a job like that, an honor. It's an honor to be chosen, right? One of you got that job, you would have gone back and said, guess who got the job? Oh, you thought you speak better, right? Here's the stick. And he says, give it to Harun. Now, when he says that, there's one last 5th item I didn't talk about yet. What's that? I'm scared they're going to kill me. I'm scared they're going to kill me. Don't believers know that life and death belongs to Allah? Don't we know that nobody will die unless Allah wants them to? And I'm pretty sure Musa knows that too, yes? He's still scared of being killed. But it's interesting he put that as number 5 because he knows it's actually not death that he fears. He fears that he's going to fail the mission Allah has given him. If he's dead, he failed. And he doesn't want to fail Allah's expectations. So he put that at number 5. All of these fears, but I started by saying, when a prophet is told by Allah to do something, what does a prophet respond with? We hear and we obey. That doesn't sound like obey to me. That sounds like, Ya Allah, I'd love to obey, but I can't. And here are 5 reasons. Because I'm scared. Because my chest will get tight, because my tongue won't move, because Harun's better at this, and they'll kill me. That doesn't sound like yes, that actually sounds like no. You understand that? Which is pretty shocking. And at this point, you would think, again I have to remind you, because in Muslim culture, sometimes we become more Islamic than Islam. Again. So people say, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you to do something, you must do it. Or as they say in Arabic, do it. Okay? You just got to do it. That's it. There's no option. You have to surrender. Because Islam means submission. You have to submit. Oh yeah? Have you heard of Musa? Because Allah told him to go. And he explained to Allah why he can't. He gave a whole explanation. A whole essay answer. Instead of just saying, I hear and I obey. What does that teach us? Allah is far more understanding that you're struggling with something than people are. People will tell you to submit or surrender immediately, and if you don't surrender immediately, then Allah doesn't like you. Allah doesn't love you because you didn't surrender immediately. But Allah is telling you, talk to me. Not talk to people, talk to who? Talk to Allah. Tell Allah, Ya Allah, I want to obey you, but I'm scared. This is what I'm scared of. These are my weaknesses. Maybe I get panic attacks. Maybe my tongue doesn't move. Maybe I don't think I'm good enough, somebody else is. These are the things in my way that keep me from obeying you. Ya Allah, help me with these things. I'm not telling you these things because I'm justifying my behavior. Musa is not saying, I'm not going to go. He's telling you, Ya Allah, I need your help with these things. You know? This is why in the Fatiha, we don't just say, Iyaka na'budu. We don't just say, Iyaka na'budu and go to the next ayah. What do we say? Iyaka na'budu wa? Iyaka nasta'in. We will worship you, fine. But we can't do it without your help. Sometimes worshiping you gets hard. Sometimes obeying you gets difficult. Who are we going to ask for help if it gets difficult? We have to turn to you and ask. So he turns to Allah and asks for help. And before we break for the Isha prayer, I have to tell you Allah's response. And you're going to repeat it in Arabic after me. Allah says to him, Kalla. Say the Arabic word. Kalla. Good. One more time. Kalla means not at all. Kalla means what? Not at all. What's the Arabic word for not at all? MashaAllah, you guys are officially Arab now. If somebody sees you... Okay. So Musa wanted Harun to go instead. And Allah says, no, you're still on the job, but who am I going to give the job to additionally? Harun alayhi salam. You know, one of my desires in heaven is to actually watch the actual footage of what happened. Because one of the first things I want to know is Harun's reaction when he got the news that he's going to Egypt to face the Pharaoh, because Musa asked for it. So when he meets Musa alayhi salam, thanks a lot, bro. Thanks a lot. But anyway, he says both of you go. Now the amazing thing, for those of you who are familiar with the story, the amazing thing is, later on, Musa is going to debate with the Pharaoh. Yeah? And what's amazing is, Harun never spoke. The whole time Harun didn't speak. He was there, but he didn't speak. And what was the whole reason Musa wanted him along? He's a better what? That leaves you scratching your head. Wait, he's supposed to be a better speaker. How come he don't ever what? He don't ever speak. The only time he uses his head is when it's being grabbed. Right? So, the only time he speaks is, please let go of my head. That's all you hear from him. You don't hear much from him at all in the Quran. So what is it that made it important? Because Allah could have told him, listen, you're going to do all the talking, I already know this. I kind of know the future already, so you don't need him. Allah sent him anyway. So the point is, if Harun wasn't going to speak, why is he there? Because sometimes when you have to face a bully, when you have to face a scary situation, even though you fear Allah and you know Allah is with you, sometimes you need a human being next to you. You need a support next to you. You need a Harun next to you. You need someone who's there, even if they do nothing. Just the fact that they're there is enough for you. Okay, I got this. And the moment you're starting to breathe heavy, they can just grab your hand a little bit and say, easy, breathe, you got this. You got this. You know, in sports, for example, in boxing or whatever, you don't just have the boxer. When the bell rings, who's in the corner? Your coach, your team. They're there and they're telling you and they're just encouraging you. They're not letting you, because the battle isn't just a battle of the physical or the battle of a person, it's a battle of the mind. And somebody has to be there to keep your mind on track. Sometimes they don't even have to say anything. Just the fact that you feel you're not alone is enough. So everybody needs a Harun in their life. If someone as brave as Musa needs a Harun in their life, and I'm not saying the person's name has to be Harun, because some Haruns are like Fir'aun, not like Musa. You know, and it doesn't have to be your sibling. It doesn't have to be, it could be a friend, it could be a spouse, it could be a parent, it could be a best friend, it could be, we don't know who that could be in your life. That's there, but that's one of the biggest blessings you can have in your life, that when you believed that you couldn't even do something, because Musa didn't believe he was good enough. But Allah will give you someone in your life that's next to you, and you'll be able to do things that Allah knows you can do, that someone who believes in you knows you can do it, even though you didn't think you could do it. You understand? So that's a powerful gift in Allah's, you know, the rizq Allah has written for us, the provision He's written for us, is the right person in our lives. So He said, both of you go. Both of you go. Just moral support. Ushdud bihi azri. You know, later you find in this dialogue, I mentioned this to you last time, he described Harun as, give me Harun because he will support my back. He will support my back. You know, if somebody's pushing me, I'll fall back, right? And if someone's behind me, keeping me from falling, that's my back support. You know how we say in English, I got your back, bro? I got your back means when somebody's going to attack me, I'm not just going to fall, somebody's going to be there to catch me. Somebody's going to be there, you know? So he asked, Allah gave him Harun. Now, again, I keep telling you, some people are more Islamic than Islam, right? First thing some people say is, if you fear Allah, you should fear no one else or nothing else. Was that true? No, you can fear Allah and you can still have fear of other things. Yes or no? Yeah. Then you found, if Allah tells you to do something, do it right away. There's no compromise or there's no steps. Was that true? No, sometimes you have to talk to Allah and work through things that are holding you back. And the third thing is, when you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't need anyone else. Actually, you kind of do. You kind of do need other people. You know, because you have to be like Ibrahim alayhi salam, who needs no one else. Well, technically, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever he would go to battle, he needed somebody next to him for moral support, so he would always take one of his wives with him. She's not going to fight no battle, but she's his support. He needs it. Just like he needs armor for the battlefield, he needs that. The emotional support right next to him. You know? So there are sometimes people we need next to us, and that's okay. You don't have to say, I have Allah, I don't need anyone. That's not Quran. That's just not how the Quran is. You know? And so even Musa recognized that he needs someone. Allah acknowledged that he needs him. Allah didn't tell him, you have me, why you need Musa? Why you need Harun? You know, you have me, I should be enough. He didn't say that. He said, both of you go. And as I leave you, I'll take a couple extra minutes. As I leave you, I'll tell you this. Both of you go with bi-ayatina. Both of you go with our miracles. Both of you go with what? Our miracles. Can you guys call out, one at a time, maybe show of hands, what were some of the miracles of Musa? Because Allah says, I won't just send you, I'll send you with our miracles. This evening is called miracles, right? So, why? What are these miracles? Yeah. Young man, yeah? Splitting the water, very good. Anything else, Aishi? A staff could turn into a snake, very good. Hand turned white. Yeah, there's lots of miracles, right? Listen to this carefully now. This is important. This is why I call tonight miracles. The water parting. Is that a miracle for the eyes or the ears? If you saw it, you'd be amazed, yes? But if a friend next to you was blind or had blindfolds on, and the water started parting, and you were like, whoa! And they're like, what? It's not amazing for them. It's amazing for you because you what? You saw it. Or if a stick turned into a snake, is that for the eyes or the ears? The eyes. If somebody just heard it from next door, what happened? Oh my God, you had to see it. It was amazing. Didn't sound amazing. It sounded like you people were crying. Because these miracles were not miracles for the ears. They were miracles for eyes. Yes? Is that clear to everybody? Listen carefully now. This is where we're ending today, for this session. He says, go with our miracles, both of you. Inna ma'akum mustami'un. We shall be listening carefully along with you. Go with our miracles, and we shall be what? Not watching, but what? Listening. To Allah, the miracles, the real miracles, because there's miracles level 1 and there's miracles level 2. The primary miracle, the greater miracle given to Musa was not what was to be seen, but actually what was to be heard. What was to be heard? We shall be listening with you. There's something miraculous about the words he's going to say. What's going to happen next? We think that the most amazing part of the story is a stick turning into a snake, or water parting, or a hand turning white, or the 9 signs. I'll talk to you about the 9 signs later on tonight. But actually, no. The most incredible part of this story is actually words. Words that are about to happen. Allah says those words are so powerful, go with them. He doesn't say we shall be watching. He said we shall be what? Listening carefully. And when Allah says Allah will be listening in carefully, that actually means that He's calling on all of His slaves, all of us, listen carefully to what's about to be said, because there's some pretty miraculous stuff in there. That's some pretty heavy stuff inside it. And so inshallah, when we come back from the king for stuff, Allah tells Musa, don't worry about it, they're not going to kill you. Walk into the Pharaoh's palace, here's what you say, both of you. Say, Inna Rasulu Rabbil Alameen an arsil ma'ana bani Israel. We both came on behalf, meaning we came as messengers, to deliver a message on behalf of the actual master of all nations. Who considers himself the master of all nations? The Pharaoh. And you're going to walk into his house, into his palace, while he's sitting up on his throne eating a cheeseburger, and you're going to tell him, we came on behalf of the real king. Oh, and that's not enough. The second thing you should say is, An arsil ma'ana bani Israel. And if you know what's good for you, you better let the Israelites were slaves that were kept there, you better let them come along with us if you know what's good for you. So we came on behalf of the real master, and the real master, since he's the real master, he's calling his servants. They're not your servants, they're his servants. They're not your slaves, they're his slaves, and he wants them back. Who's he asking about? The Israelites. And this is not a request, this is a demand. It's not a request, because it doesn't come from a servant, it doesn't come on the subject of the king, it comes on behalf of the actual king, from Rabbil Alameen. Now you tell me, if somebody walked into the Pharaoh's palace, and the Pharaoh believes himself to be God, and you walk into the Pharaoh's palace and you tell him, I came on behalf of the real God, and you're going to do as I say. How do you think that's going to go? That's going to result in the death penalty. You know, there are kingdoms around the world today. Different levels of kingdoms and dictatorships around the world today. And in some, he walks in, you're doing the fan thing, he walks in and says, we came on behalf as messengers of the master of all nations and all people. Everybody in the room, the security guards, the ministers, the king himself, you are like, is he trying to get killed? He was already in trouble, but now for saying this, he could get the death penalty for treason. You understand that, right? And then he doesn't stop there, he says two things. He says, we came on behalf of Allah, basically, behalf of the real God, and you better let the Israelites go. You better let the slaves go free. They're not your slaves, they're Allah's slaves. I need you to remember that he said two things. That he came as a messenger of Allah, and you should let the Israelites go. Two things. Now the Pharaoh is going to respond. You remember what I told you, right? The miracles in this story are actually, yes, they include the snake and the water and all of that, but the bigger miracle than all of those things is what? The words. That's some pretty miraculous words already. We recite them very calmly. We recite them in the Quran. This is Maghrib Salah, Isha Salah, we just say them. We say, the Qari says these words. Inna Rasulu Rabbil Alameen arsil ma'ana bani Israel. Yep, when's ruku'? But the first time they were said, the person saying them had to consider the fact that the moment those words come out of their mouth, they're going to get killed. They're surrounded, they're in the house of the Pharaoh. And the moment he says it, the thing that I'm reminding you of, in a previous story night I told you that Fir'aun had a lot of love for Musa. He had a lot of love for Musa alayhi salam. And because of that love, he's not going to kill him physically. Not yet anyway. He's going to kill him with words. And you remember Musa was afraid of being called liar? Yeah? Well, it's not just about being called a liar. He's afraid of being humiliated, yes? And you'll see why. Because the Pharaoh is about to light him up. The Pharaoh is really good at what he does. He's not one of the world's greatest politicians for no reason. You understand? He's an expert debater. And what I'm about to share with you about the Pharaoh is evil genius. There's a reason the Pharaoh is mentioned in the Quran the way that he is. He was a genius. He was really good at what he does. And Allah is not just telling us about one person. He's telling us about a kind of behavior when He teaches us about the Pharaoh. Okay? What two things did Musa ask for? What did he come to say? One, I forgot. He's a messenger of Allah. Two, let the Israelites go. Now listen to the Pharaoh's response, okay? أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلِيدًا وَلَبِثْتَ فِينَا مِنْ عُمُرِكَ سِنِينَ. Did we not raise you here in this house since you were a baby? And did you not live in this palace many years of your life? Is that an answer to Musa's questions? You have to understand, the Pharaoh said, come again? You were here since you were a baby. Who took care of you? Who fed you? You're going to talk to me like that? This is how you show me respect, huh? This is how you answer me. This is the way to talk to the one who raised you since you were a child. Did you forget that you lived in this house? Did you forget who runs this place? Know your place, boy. You know what that is? He is making Musa feel like, for speaking the truth, Musa has disrespected his father figure. Musa has been ungrateful for being raised in that house. And how is he being ungrateful? For speaking the truth. In life, sometimes when you have to confront someone who's doing something wrong, sometimes they are people that have done things for you. Sometimes family has done things for you. Sometimes others have done things for you. But just because somebody did something for you doesn't mean they can do other wrong things. They can do any other kinds of abuse. Doesn't mean that. And if you have to call that out and say, hey, what you did wasn't right, or what you're doing is haram, for example. For example, sometimes in Muslim families, not yours because you guys are Islamic, but other families, the father is a really good dad. He paid for their kids' college tuition. He's taking care of the family. He's paying the bills, everything else. He works hard, but he's running a haram business. So he does a lot of good, but he's also running a haram business. And the son finds the courage respectfully to say, Dad, I don't think I want this tuition money. I think I'd rather not go to college than take this money because it's haram. And I think we should get out of the haram business. What is the dad going to say? Son, you make a good point. I realize that this is haram. I never thought of it this way. And I thank you so much. You have opened my eyes to the truth. Come here, give me a hug, let me kiss your forehead. I don't think that's how that's going to go. I think it's going to sound like, I have taken care of you since you were a baby. You lived in this house your entire life. I didn't hear you complain. All of a sudden, your Islam woke up? Huh? And then he'll call his mom. Hey, come look at this. Come hear your son. Your son's going to teach us Islam. Come here, come here. I want you to see this. No, let's record it so we can remember this moment. Go ahead. What were you saying? The Pharaoh says, oh, you're gonna correct me? Who are you to correct me? What you're going to learn now is a term. Maybe some of you are familiar with it, but you're going to learn how the Quran describes it. It's not a word used in the Quran. It's used in modern mental health sort of circles. It's called gaslighting. What's it called? Gaslighting. Let me just define gaslighting for you. Gaslighting means you make someone feel bad, or you make someone feel like they are wrong, even though they're not wrong at all. But the way you speak can make them feel guilty and make them feel ashamed or humiliated or wrong, even though they're saying the right thing. Okay? And gaslighting is never logical. Gaslighting is emotional. What is gaslighting? Logical or emotional? Emotional. What Musa came to say is logical. But a good gaslighter, when you say something logical, they will respond with something that is what? Emotional. Those are like two different playgrounds. There's a logical playground. When somebody says something logical, you can respond with something logical, and you can go back and forth, and the more logical argument wins. Yes? But a good gaslighter, they hear something logical, but they're really smart. They will never respond with something logical. They will respond with something what? Emotional. What that means is they want you to get a certain feeling. They want you to stop using this, and they want this to become tight. Remember that? This is feelings, yes? The chest becoming tight? So they're going to be really good at that. And one of the number one ways you can do that, if you want to be a good gaslighter, I don't recommend it. But if you want to take good gaslighting tips from Fir'aun, then if somebody brings something to your attention that you are doing wrong, what you could do is make them feel bad for all the things they've done for you. Because that's what he's doing, isn't it? Remind them of the favors that I've done. Remind him of the favors I've done for him. So he's making him feel like he's being ungrateful, and he's also making him feel like he's being disrespectful. Yes? The truth is, Musa is neither ungrateful nor disrespectful. He just spoke the truth. The truth is offensive. Sorry. Actually, not sorry. The truth is offensive. The truth is not disrespectful. What you find disrespectful is you don't want to accept the truth, so it's offensive to you. You get it? So now, he says, didn't we raise you in this house? Didn't you live many years of your life here? You think he said that nicely? No. I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure it sounded pretty dramatic. And stop looking at the person you think does that in your family. I see some of you like... But you know what's funny to me is I love Quran recitation, and I love that, sometimes we get our children to lead Taraweeh prayer and stuff, and some of our kids have such sweet, high-pitched, melodious, candy-like voices, and they're reciting these ayat, in which this gaslighter is yelling at his adopted son, telling him, I raised you in this house, and they're reciting, أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلِيدًا وَلَبِثْتَ فِينَا مِنْ عُمُرِكَ سِنِينَ. And people in the back that don't know Arabic are like, yeah, nice. Like, didn't we raise you here since you were a baby? And I was standing there like, Allahu Akbar. He didn't stop there. Listen to what he said next. He said, وَفَعَلْتَ فَعْلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ وَأَنْتَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. He said, oh, and you did that deed of yours. You know that thing you did, that you did? Are you denying what you did? What's he talking about? Remember that he helped somebody and tried to punch the guy and the guy died? Musa, the Pharaoh saying to him, oh, you're going to tell me what's right and wrong? You. Oh, excuse me, you're going to tell me what's right. Did you do something? Someone remind me. Did you do something that you did? That thing that you did that, right? Or did you forget? Are you denying that you? Easy that you forget your own self. The next gaslight is not to make you feel like you're being ungrateful or you're being disrespectful. The next gaslight is, oh, you should never stand up for yourself. And you should never call anybody out for any wrong that they do because look at the mistake you made in your past. Should I remind you of your mistake? Should I remind you of what you did? Because I think you need a reminder. So let's walk through your mistake step by step. Let's humiliate you by reminding you of your past. By the way, human beings make mistakes, yes or no? Yes. Yep. That's what makes us human beings. كُلُّ بَنِي آدَمْ خَطَّاءُونَ. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all children of Adam keep on making mistakes. They keep on making. Khatta means, sighatul mubalagha means they do it over and over. They keep messing up. They do it, and then they fall, they get up again, they fall again, they get up again. That's life. That's life. But you know what a good gaslighter does? He says, you're going to tell me I'm doing a crime? I've been recording all your mistakes. Let me walk you through them. Because I want you to feel like you, listen to this carefully, I want you to feel like you are nothing but the sum of your mistakes. That's all you are, is a bunch of mistakes. There's nothing good about you. All you are is your mistakes. Every time they see you, they'll remind you of some mistake you made, or what you said, as if you're doing it every single day. Something may have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and when they get corrected, they say, I still remember the day you said this. Why do you keep bringing it up? Because it feels like it just happened. No, because I want you to feel like it just happened. I want you to be crushed by it. What's the point of doing that? The point of doing that is so you feel like I don't have a right to stand up for myself. I don't have a right to stand up for anyone else or say what's right. I don't have a right to correct a wrong or an evil that's happening because I made a mistake myself. So I don't get that right anymore. That's what they're saying to you. Your mistakes make you unqualified to stand up. Sit down. Know your place. And he adds, وَفَعَلْتَ فَعْلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ. He didn't just say you killed somebody. He said, you did what you did, as if he kept it a mystery. Because there are some new people, like you just got an internship, right? So you don't know what happened. So you're like, well, what did he do? I want to know what he did. He wants to make everybody curious. Some people know, and a lot of people what? They don't know. And a good gaslighter wants to make everybody curious about your past mistakes. So now you're like, they don't know? And they start talking about, what was it? What was it? What was it? What was it? That's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to feel. And he's like, if you get a little out of line, I'm going to remind everybody what you did again. Just so you know your place. Thank God that this is something that happened thousands of years ago and it never happened again. Right? Because you've never experienced any of this is not relatable at all. So alhamdulillah for that. Okay. So now, I'm losing track. What did Musa come to say? Did you remember how many things Musa had to say? 2. What were they? I came as a messenger. Let go of the Israelites. The Pharaoh responded, you've been here since you were a baby. You did what you did. Did he respond to anything Musa said? Why? Because Musa came with something logical, and Fir'aun is going to use different kinds of gaslights. And gaslights are always what? Emotional, yeah? And the thing is, when somebody's really good at gaslighting, you forget that you started with something logical. You get caught in their game, and you start answering their questions emotionally. No, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that you... No, that's not what I mean at all. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I'm not that kind of person. No, that's not what I am. How can you say that about me? No, it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill him. And you start explaining yourself, and you start answering, and you get caught, and they already won, because you left the logical playground. You entered the emotional playground. They got you good, because your chest became what? But Allah told Musa, Kalla, your chest is not going to get tight, which means you're not going to fall in that game. You're going to stay calm and cool. They're going to try to get you, rile you up emotionally, and you're going to hold your ground. You're going to take a deep breath and watch Musa's response. He says, فَعَلْتُهَا إِذًا وَأَنَا مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. In fact, I did do it. What's he referring to, I did do it? Killed. You know, the Pharaoh said 2 things. I raised you in this house and you killed someone. Or you did it. He should answer in the same order. I lived here and I did it. But he started with, I did it. Why? Because that's the bigger problem. That's what everybody's curious about, right? So look at Musa alayhi salam's genius response. Timeless response until Judgment Day. He said, I did it at the time. When I was lost. When I was from those who get confused. That's what happened. I was confused, and I was like other people who might have gotten confused, and I slipped and I messed up. That's what happened. That's the truth. Did he spell out exactly what he did wrong? No. Did he say, but I did this, but I didn't do this. But let me explain the whole story. This is what happened, this is what happened. Did he say any of that? Did he even say, I killed someone? No. He simply said, I did it. And ain't nobody in the room know, except a few, what it is. You know why? Because when you're being reminded of your mistakes, remember something, you know you don't owe anyone the full story. Because the one who needs to know the full story is either Allah or a court of law. Outside of that, you owe nobody the entire story. But there are some people that are more Islamic than Islam and more judgmental than Allah Himself that say, I will not consider you a person worthy of anything until you explain yourself to me, the entire story, with all of its intricate details, because I feel like acting as if I'm God on Judgment Day. I want to know every little deed so I can pass judgment on you. They won't say that to you, but practically that's what they're doing, isn't it? Because they want every last detail. Who needs to know all the details? Who is going to check every last detail and make judgment? Who's that? Who has the right to do that? Allah does. But people assume that place and say, listen, I wanna believe you, but until you tell me the entire story and convince me that you are right, how can I ever consider you worthy? As if you are in a position to consider anyone worthy or unworthy. You see the self-righteous place you put yourself in when you do that? So Musa alayhi salam is never going to give somebody that right. You want to think of me what you want? Go ahead. I'll tell you my part. I did make a mistake. at the time. But I was what? Lost. I was from among those who were lost. But then look at what he does. It's such genius. He says, فَفَرَرْتُ مِنْكُمْ لَمَّا خِفْتُكُمْ. Then I ran away from all of y'all. Then I ran away from minkum. Kum is the plural, means all of y'all. Lamma khiftukum, when I used to be afraid of y'all. Now he's not talking to one person. When I say y'all, y'all are in Texas, so you understand. I had to explain this in New York, right? Because they don't use no y'all. I'm from New York, but I've been converted. You know, so I've been here long enough, and it's had an impact. You know, and you don't want to take Texas back to New York. You get yourself in trouble. Let me tell you. You know how when you're walking into like Walmart or Target or something, and somebody says, "How you doing? Having a good day?" I'm like, "Yeah." How about yourself? You have a good day now? Okay, yeah, you too. That's normal here. You go to New York and you're walking down the street. You tell somebody, "How you doing?" You're gonna get mace in your face. Or you're gonna get somebody running across the street into a car because you said how you do it. Because in New York City, when you say how you do it, you're about to get mugged. That's just how New York City is. That's the truth about New York City. People that live in New York City know when somebody says, "Hey, how you doing?" Well, you change your seat on the subway. You like change cards. You know. Which is why when I first came here from New York and I went to a grocery store and somebody said, "How y'all doing?" I was like, "Oh, can't go. I'll come back for the vegetables later." It's confusing. But anyway, they don't use y'all, right? So, by the way, when I was teaching this story in Cape Town in South Africa, they also don't understand y'all. You know what they say? Youth. Youth. So I had to change that. I said youth. Okay, but anyway, y'all understand y'all. Okay, when he says y'all, he's no longer talking to the Pharaoh, is he? Who's he talking to? Everyone in the room. Now, I imagine you're still using your imagination. There are security guards in the room. There are ministers and generals in the room. There's you in the room. There's the orange juice guy in the room. He's talking to all of them, isn't he? The problem with that is, when you are in the presence of the king, you are to only address the king. You know when sometimes there's an authoritative father, and he's talking to one of his children, and the child looks and starts talking to somebody else, one of his siblings, and he says, "Look at me when I'm talking to you, boy. When I'm talking to you, don't look around. Look at me. Talk to me." This is that times 1,000 because this is the Pharaoh, and you're in his court. You're not allowed to talk to anybody else. You are to talk to who? Him. You came to speak to him. But Musa alayhi salam, he says, "I made a mistake at the time, and I was from the confused. And by the way, as a result, I ran away from all of y'all. Lamma khiftukum, when I used to be afraid of y'all." What? Even the security guard like took out his phone on the side and is snapping like the bulgy face emoji, like, this is legit. What is happening? Has this ever happened in Pharaoh's court before? No. Nobody's ever spoken like this before. He already offended the king the first time around. The king gaslit him. And by the way, you, the fan person, if you ever seen like a tennis match, if you see the audience when they're watching a tennis match, what do? That's you right now. He walked in, you're like, "Oh. Oh. Oh." He says, "I ran away from all of you when I used to be afraid of you. فَوَهَبَ لِي رَبِّي حُكْمًا وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ." It is so on point. Remember the two fields? There's the emotional field and there's the what? The logical field. Pharaoh wants him to enter into the what? Emotional field. And that's when your chest becomes tight. But Musa's chest is not going to get tight. So he's going to stay what? Logical. And when you're logical, you never forget your original point. And what was his original point? That I'm a messenger? Watch this. He says, "I ran away from all of you when I used to be afraid of you. Then my master gave me firmness of decision and made me from those that get sent as a messenger." Point number one again. He says, "You're going to throw a curveball at me, try to gaslight me about killing somebody. I'll use the gaslight killing story and turn it back into why I'm a messenger." Point number one. I ain't going nowhere. That's one point, but there's another point. What's that? Let the Israelites go. Listen to this. This is the genius of Musa. وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةٌ تَمُنُّهَا عَلَيَّ أَنْ عَبَّدْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. In fact, that is a favor you did for me. You did raise me in this house. And thank you. But how does that justify you turning all of the Israelites into slaves? I fail to see the connection. I mean, thanks for doing what you did, but you're still a horrible monster for keeping people as slaves. But thank you, though. Because I'm still grateful and you're still wrong. Right? He's not going to confuse those two things together. He's going to keep them logically separate. If you entered the emotional playing field, all you'd be doing is defending yourself. Of course I'm grateful. I'm sorry I brought anything up. I won't say anything ever again. I'm sorry. He's not doing that. He's calm. His nerves are cold as steel. And he responds with such composure. And he comes back to the same 2 points. I'm a messenger. Let the Israelites go. How can you justify keeping them as slaves? Because you raised me? Is that what you're saying? And by the way, when you listen to this, you're like, oh, snap. Oh, I got you good. Oh, I think I should do a little faster. You're getting sweaty. Because what's happening now is when somebody is emotional, if you think about what they're saying, they're actually not making any sense at all. And if you stay logical, you can actually very easily highlight that what they're saying is not making any sense at all. At all. And you can do it without raising your voice. You can do it very calmly. And they can just fall on their face. And as a result, and the other dimension of this that I want you to know is, some of you have difficult jobs. You don't like your boss, or you don't like your manager, or you don't like the company owner, or whoever. You have to work with somebody you don't like. And some of you come home and say, man, my manager is Fir'aun. But this guy, his boss, is actually Fir'aun. When he goes home, he says, my boss is Fir'aun. It's the actual Fir'aun. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't like his boss, yeah? I'm pretty hard to like Fir'aun as a boss. The thing is, when you don't like your boss, you have to act like you're subordinate and obedient and all of that. You have to act like that anyway. But one day, somebody comes and puts your boss in his place. And you're watching. Somebody put your boss in his place and you're watching. That day, lunch tastes extra good. That day, you're like, oh, these chips, oh, savor this moment. There's a smile on your face. Rami, sit up. There's a smile on your face when you are enjoying because this person who's so mean to you, such a bully to you, such an authority, overwhelming authority over you, got owned and you get to watch. It's kind of entertaining. So you're actually kind of, it was the most enjoyable day at work today. My back no longer hurts, Now the Pharaoh just got responded to by Musa alayhi salam, and the first gaslight didn't work. And Pharaoh realizes, I'm not going to be able to get him by shaming him, and I'm not going to be able to get him by reminding him of his past mistake. Those two gaslights have failed. I got to come up with a different one. He has a lot of them in his shelf. He's got a lot of different weapons in his shelf. He's going to pull the next weapon out. He says, قَالَ لَهُ فِرْعَوْنُ وَمَا رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Master, huh? Master of all nations? What master? Please. Whatever. The next gaslight is very important. You have something important to say. You have to confront somebody about something serious. And they can look at you and say some words that make you feel like what you are saying is either so utterly stupid or utterly worthless or not worthy of a response. And the way they'll do that is with something like, what? Seriously? Or they'll do this. When you say, hey, uncle, you can't push auntie down the stairs anymore. They'll say, wow, 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 wow. Their favorite letter of the Arabic alphabet keeps repeating itself. You know what they're doing? They're making you feel like, wait, you start questioning yourself. Did I say something unintelligent? Did I say something offensive? Did I say something that doesn't make any sense? Actually, no. But they're really good at making you feel that way. Feel like, or somebody will, there's some of you that are in a situation like that where you have to confront somebody about something serious. And every time you do, they say, I don't have time for this nonsense. I don't have time for it. Don't laugh too loud, they'll hear you. I don't have time for this. Whatever. No, we're not talking about this. Leave me alone. Can't address it. Can't deal with it. Just push it off, push it off, push it off, push it off, push it off. And the way you can do that is with the word whatever, isn't it? Some version of whatever. That's literally what Pharaoh is doing. He says, what God? What master? Please. That's because he has no logical response. But the trick is, he's making Mosa feel like he's saying something illogical. That's the game. Mosa responds as if this is a logical question. Even though this wasn't a logical question, this was an emotional gaslight. But if you think of it as a logical question, it would be, tell me more about this God. What God is it? And Musa says, okay, I'll tell you, since you asked. The master I'm talking about is the master of the skies and the earth and everything in between, if the rest of y'all are interested in being convinced. He said to everybody in the hall, everybody around him, are you people not listening to him? How come none of y'all are angry? Why are you not? Because if he says, I'm talking about a different God than myself, officially, all of you believe in my religion. So all of you should be offended. You should be up in arms saying, hey, how dare you speak about our God, the Pharaoh, this way? Some of you are giving each other pounds. Some of you are woof, that felt good. You're actually celebrating that he's being put in his place. By the way, whose chest seems to be becoming tight? Isn't that cool? That's pretty cool. He's feeling vulnerable. He's getting desperate. The mightiest king on earth is getting desperate. Not with an army, not with millions of dollars, not with billions in expenses, not with a navy, not with a weapon, but with just what? Words. Isn't that miraculous? No army could shake this king. No amount of spending could shake this kingdom. Nothing could move these pillars from their place. And yet the center of power, when there are movements that want to destabilize a government, they don't go to the government. They go hide in some dungeon and plan things. They want to do some kind of espionage or guerrilla warfare, hiding from the authorities. Musa is not hiding from the authorities. He went straight to the Pentagon, walked into the military compound, speaking to the general in command, and he's shaking his foundations. Isn't that insane? And think about this. When this conversation started, Musa was here. Musa was here. The Pharaoh was here. Yes? In a few words, things are changing. Words. You know what Allah is teaching us? If words, the right words, are enough to even start bringing down a mighty bully like the Pharaoh, with all of his might, all of his numbers, all of his power on earth, then you will never have a bully in your life that you cannot stand up to with the right words. You don't need a stick that turns into a snake, because that hasn't even happened yet. If the stick was given to us that turns into a snake to take on a bully, we would walk in the room and he would say, what do you want? And we'd say, hold on a second. Get him. Problem solved. Enough said. Forget drop the mic, you drop the stick. That's it. That's it. But that's not what Allah is teaching us. Because we're not going to get one of them sticks. But we will have what? Words forever. The story is alive. The story is alive. So Pharaoh dismisses it. Musa says, my master is the skies of the east and the west. And he says, Rabbukum wa Rabbu abaikum wal awwalin. By the way, the next gaslight was not to insult you, not to make you feel ungrateful, not to make you feel unworthy. Rami, you're distracting me, so go all the way in the back and sit over there, okay? And you guys, I gave you the privilege to sit here. If you're going to behave in a disciplined way, you didn't. So now you're going to go in the back too. Go. Or sit facing me. Yes? Okay, I love you guys, but I don't tolerate that. Okay, good. I still love you, Rami. Thank you. Okay, what was I saying? Something about Islam? Ibrahim alayhi salam is about to be thrown in the fire. And no, wait, no. Wrong story. Huh? Not to feel. So the ungrateful thing didn't work. Reminding of the mistake didn't work. Dismissing didn't work. You know what the next gaslight is? You don't get mad at him. You get mad at anybody who listens to him. So you can't control him. So let's control the people you can still have influence over and say, hey, don't listen to him. I don't want you calling him. I don't want you talking to her. I don't want you doing this. Stay away from them. If I find out that you're talking to your cousin, and then your cousin texts you, I can't talk to you right now. I have to erase this message. Sorry. Because then there will be people in your family that say, no matter what, you better stay away from that person. Because they stood up to me. They called me out for my wrong. There's no way I will allow anybody who's still under my command, under my influence, to be infected by them. So stay away from them. So he starts getting mad at his own people in the room. He says, أَلَا تَسْتَمِعُونَ? Musa alayhi salam ignores him completely, as if he's not even in the courtroom. He's talking to everybody else. He says, رَبُّكُمْ وَرَبُّ أَبَائِكُمُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. Your master, all of you, and the master of your earliest ancestors. The master of your earliest, I'm talking about your God and the master of your fathers and their fathers and their fathers. He's always been the true God. Because this guy's going to die. Look at him, he's old. He's no God. And so he's talking to the crowd, and at this point, the Pharaoh doesn't know what to do, because even getting mad at his followers didn't work. And he needs to control this situation, so he comes up with the next gaslight, which is, إِنَّ رَسُولَكُمُ الَّذِي أُرْسِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ لَمَجْنُونَ. This messenger of yours, apparently you like him as a messenger, huh? This one that's been sent to you, he's crazy. Don't listen to him, he's insane. If you can't control the one that you're trying to gaslight, maybe you can control what is said about them. Maybe you can control what people think about them. Maybe you can control their reputation. Maybe you could put a label on them that everybody will use for them. That might be a way to destroy them, to put them in their place. So now he wants everybody to think that Musa alayhi salam is what? Insane. By the way, when somebody gets called a label, the natural impulse is, who you calling crazy? I'm not crazy, you crazy. You get defensive, yes? But if you get defensive, again, you fell into the emotional playground. You fell for it, and then they win. What does Musa do? He doesn't say, oh yeah, I'm going to hold a seminar about misconceptions about Musa and tell everybody how not crazy I am. You know, he doesn't do that. He says, رَبُّ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. My master is the master of the east and the west, if y'all understand what I'm saying. Basically, this is important now, the pharaohs had a religion. In their religion, the sun was actually God. And wherever the sun fell was the kingdom of God. And the pharaohs were the children of the sun. So while the sun ruled the sky, the pharaohs ruled the earth. When Musa said, my master controls or has mastery over the east and the west, that means where the sun comes up and where the sun goes down, which means, and he already said my master owns the skies and the earth. He was deconstructing the religious worldview of the pharaohs by saying these words. And then he was also saying the east and the west, meaning the country, doesn't have to be under his control, you know, guys. There are the military command, the top brass of the military is sitting right there in that room. If they become convinced of Musa, there's no longer a pharaoh in the house. Because the pharaoh is an old man on a cane. He's actually not mighty himself. He's only mighty because of the people in that room that listen to him. If they stop listening to him, he's just an old guy with a cane. He actually physically has no power. So Musa alayhi salam calls for a coup. He says, my master is the master of the east and the west, if y'all get what I'm saying. Get it? And you know who got it? Pharaoh got it. It was like, oh no, I'm about to get impeached. This is not happening right now. I can't be getting impeached. This is too scary. He's about to lose his administration. Just from the words of Musa. Just from that. The government is about to go. The mightiest empire on earth is about to fall without a single invasion. It's mind-blowing that that's about to happen. And he's so desperate now. The Pharaoh is so incredibly desperate now that he says, listen to this. He says, لَإِنِ اتَّخَذْتَ إِلَهًا غَيْرِي لَأَجْعَلَنَّكَ مِنَ الْمَسْجُونِينَ. If you dare to take any god other than me, I will make sure you get thrown in jail. One more word out of you, and you will join people that are already in what? In jail. In other words, the final gaslight is, shut up or else. The final gaslight is threat, blackmail, put you in your place, or you see what I'll do to you. In this case, I'm going to throw you in jail. In somebody else's case, give me the car keys. In somebody else's case, guess who's not getting their college tuition next semester? In somebody else's case, get out of my house. In somebody else, could be different. Somebody else's case, you better watch yourself. A hand will be raised. It could be any kind of threat. But you know what? When it comes to that point, when somebody's threatening you in some way, you know what that means? That every other gaslight has failed, and they have reached the final desperate move. They've reached that final stage, which means they know, and you know, they are on the very brink of the cliff. They're about to lose all control over you. They know nothing is working. That's actually not a sign of their power. That's a sign of their what? That's the sign of their weakness. And everybody smart in that room, including you, knows it. He's getting weak. Musa alayhi salam knows if I speak anymore, what's going to happen? It's going to throw me in jail. So at this point, Musa alayhi salam says, أَوَلَوْ جِئْتُكَ بِشَيْءٍ مُبِينٍ. Okay. Or how about this? I'll stop talking. How about I just show you something? Fine. You don't want me to talk anymore? My words were too much? I'll stop talking. How about I just show you something now? You know what he's going to show, right? Yeah. But the Pharaoh doesn't know that. So the Pharaoh very confidently says anything but more words. So he says, فَأْتِ بِهِ إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Whatever, just, yeah, show it. Like you got something to show. What are you going to do? Show me a trick with your little stick there? Bring it. Don't sing it. Bring it. Okay. So Pharaoh challenges him. Now, before I tell you what happens next, because you kind of know what's coming next, I do want to tell you one shot. You want to show something, huh? Go ahead. He threw the stick down. فَإِذَا. Then immediately, هِيَ ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ. It turned into a python. Not a snake, a python. A python is thick enough that it can swallow an animal. A python is thick enough that it can wrap itself around a human being and crush all of their bones, and then swallow them. They could do that. It was a python. There are 3 descriptions of this snake in the Quran, maybe even 4. The first description is it's a python. The second is its head is actually that of a cobra, not a python. So it's a cobra the size of a python, because it's hayya. Hayya is actually a cobra. And it's not just, and cobras when they're about to, and hayya is called a hayya when their mouth is open, when they're about to strike. So its mouth is open, it's massive, it's a venomous killer snake, and then Allah describes it as tas'a, which means it doesn't sit still. You know, a cobra is about to strike, it gets into a pose, and then it quickly strikes. Its mouth opens up when it's about to strike, yes? Allah describes it's a snake with its mouth open that's running around. And then He describes it's Jan. It looks demonic. It looks like it's a jinn, like a monster. This is not a mouse in Brooklyn on the 5th floor. This is a massive, gigantic killer monster snake that just got unleashed inside of this hall where you had a stable job. I want you to understand what your reaction is at this point. I would imagine you jumped onto Fir'aun like a baby. Everybody's terrified. And I told you, one of my desires, may Allah enter all of us into His Jannah, one of my desires is to watch the footage of what happens. I'd really love to watch the scene with the camera zoomed in on Harun again. Because I'm not sure if Musa alayhi salam told Harun what's about to go down. Because I don't think that when they met after 10 years, Musa alayhi salam was like, yo, watch this. Cool, right? Cool, right? He doesn't know. So they're there, and all this time Harun alayhi salam's thinking, I got you, bro, I got you. I'm here for your support. Bro! Like, I really want to see that scene. I don't have... When you study Islam for a long time, you start getting weird. Imagine, that's my problem, I admit. No, so these are requests. I have a list of requests in Jannah. May Allah enter all of us into Jannah. Anyway, so this chaos has broken into the room. By the way, up until now, Fir'aun was proven as stupid, unworthy of conversation, illogical, unable to respond to Musa, right? Already feeling weak. The only thing he had left is, I'm scary, I can throw you in jail. Nobody's scarier than me. And Musa says, "Boop." And who's terrified? Oh my God. No one is scarier than Musa alayhi salam right now. The only one calm in the room is Musa alayhi salam. Everybody else is losing their mind. I wouldn't even want to imagine being in that room. That's insane. And then while all of that's happening, and everybody's in chaos clinging to the walls, وَنَزَعَ مُوسَى يَدَهُ. Musa alayhi salam pulled his hand out, and it's brilliant white, like a light bulb, like it's shiny white. And they're like, wow, what's happened to his hand? Ah! What happened to his hand? Like, and at this point, up until now, you saw all ears on Musa. And now all eyes on Musa. He has complete control over the most powerful political room on earth. Complete control. At this point, the Pharaoh needs to figure out, code red emergency, how am I going to save my empire? This is it. This is the end. So Pharaoh comes up with a brilliant idea. His idea is to push you away. You're the fan guy, right? So you don't have a high classified job. You're a fan. You're someone not that important. He pulls in his generals, the high profile people. قَالَ لِلْمَلَإِ حَوْلَهُ. And in order for you to understand this part, I need to tell you to his wife. He doesn't appreciate what she does for him. He doesn't give her any attention. He doesn't respond to her salam properly. He doesn't even make eye contact. Always complaining about the food didn't have enough salt, or doesn't have this, or the water was too warm or too cold, or why is this over here? Why is that over here? Why are you always looking like that? Why can't you be like this? Why this? Why this? Why this? Why this? Constant criticism and dismissal. Oh man, I can't deal with you. I'm just going to go outside. Don't bother me. You're so annoying, etc., etc. And this lady, she's had enough. She does everything she can, and she just keeps getting put down all the time. She can't take it anymore, yeah? So she talks to one of her friends on the phone, Zainab. Sorry, Zainab. Zainab, I can't take it anymore. He just makes me feel so worthless all the time. I don't even know what I'm doing wrong, but he's constantly angry or upset or dismissive. I don't know where to do with that. I think I'm done with this marriage. I can't stay in it anymore. And Zainab said, I hear you. I understand what you're going through, etc., etc. And then the doorbell rings. And guess who's there? Her husband. She goes, Zainab, I'll call you back. So she hangs up on Zainab, opens the door, and it's her husband. And her husband's got one hand behind his back. And he goes, Salaam alaikum. And he normally doesn't say salam. She says salam. And he doesn't respond. But now he said salam alaikum. She goes, alaikum salam. Guess what I have in my hand? And she goes, what? And he pulls his hand out front. Strawberry ice cream. Remember strawberry ice cream? We got it the day we got engaged. I got it for you, remember? And all of a sudden she goes, yeah. Remember the park we sat in? We ate this ice cream together? She goes, yeah. Let's go to the park and eat it together. She goes, okay. A second ago, what was she saying? I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Strawberry ice cream, and all of it what? If you're a good gaslight, if you're a good emotional manipulator, here's the thing. A good emotional manipulator would dismiss you, make you feel worthless, dismiss you, make you feel worthless, and your temperature inside is rising, 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 rising. And if it rises enough, this thermometer is going to pop. But he knows that if I push any more, it's going to what? Pop. I need to bring this temperature back down, then start over again. And the only way to bring this down and start over again is going to be some what? Strawberry ice cream. And because when I bring the strawberry ice cream, she's going to think, oh my God, he's back to his old self. And the last 10 years don't count. Because strawberry ice cream, they go to the park, they eat the ice cream, everything's great. She comes home, and Zainab's texting her, you okay? You've been out for a while. She says, I'll call you. And the husband goes to sleep. She calls Zainab, she goes, he's under a lot of pressure, and people don't really understand him. And he's not really mean at all. The only one who understands him is me. And it's his parents. His parents have done this to him. That's why he's like this. Or it's, and she's like, Zainab's like, wait, what? She goes, no, it's about strawberry ice cream. You wouldn't understand. It's like, it's our own thing. I gotta go, bye. And now, because she's cooled down again, she goes to sleep happy. I'm going to be a happy wife again. He's going to be a good husband again. All that bad stuff is gone. Now he's back to his normal self. Next morning he wakes up. He already knows the temperature is up or down now. He's down. When people do that, when people are emotional abusers, then being nice, listen to this carefully, being nice for them is like holding their breath. They can't do it for too long. They can do it just enough to drop your what? Temperature. The moment your temperature drops, they come back to their natural state. The Arab says, "At-tab'u aghlab." Nature dominates. The true nature comes back. So in the morning, he's upset again. He's leaving here. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go see some friends after that. Because why would I come back home to you? And she, instead of saying, "Oh, I had it. I'm done," because she's not at the boiling point anymore. Where is she? Cooled off? You know what she says to herself? I must have done something wrong. I hurt his feelings some way. I know I did something wrong. Because he was so nice to me yesterday. There's no way he got mad at me. It must have been me. So she doesn't blame him now, she blames herself. And she's going to keep blaming herself until the temperature gets to a certain point. And then, as soon as she's about to blame him, what's he going to do? Another strawberry ice cream episode is going to happen. You understand? So anyway, now she's blaming herself. So she says, maybe I wasn't nice enough to him. Maybe I didn't dress up enough for him. Maybe I wasn't taking care of enough for him. So she dresses up that day. She puts makeup on. She even takes her glasses off. She puts the kids to sleep early. She makes a candlelight dinner. She makes his favorite food. She puts perfume. The whole house is cleaned up, decorated, everything. He comes home from work. She goes, "Assalamu alaikum." And he goes, "Taking your glasses off, you think you look better?" And she goes, "No, taking my glasses off makes you look better." So but that's not the point. The point that I was trying to make is that Pharaoh has generals. And those generals, most of the time, feel worthless. Because the Pharaoh, the way the Quran describes that he speaks, he says, "Alaysa li mulku Misra, wa hadhihi al-anharu tajri min tahti." Don't I alone own the kingdom of Egypt? Don't these rivers flow under my feet? Basically, when it comes to authority and decision-making in Egypt, all Pharaoh ever does is what you heard in Finding Nemo. Mine, mine, mine. That's all he does. And all his commanders and generals feel what? They feel worthless. But if he makes, and they've reached a boiling point, and Mosa is a good alternative. So they can switch teams right now. This is a really important time for Pharaoh to offer them some strawberry ice cream. You understand what I'm saying? He calls the generals. He says to them, "Inna hadha lasahirun alim." This guy is a really good magician. يريد أن يخرجكم من أرضكم بسحره فماذا تأمرون. Oh my God, what genius. He says, this guy's a really good magician. He wants to kick y'all out of y'all's land. So y'all should tell me what to do. Some of them are like, "You've never asked my opinion my entire life. I feel so special right now." Because you know, when somebody doesn't treat you like, when they treat you like nothing, and all of a sudden they say, "This is your land. This is your house. This is our family. I want your suggestion." All of a sudden you feel like you're on top of the world. I didn't think you ever valued my opinion. And all of a sudden you ask for my opinion, you become a slave mentally again to them. Because you've been dying for their validation, dying for it. And they know you're dying for it, they won't give it to you. But when they need you to be completely under their command, then they'll give you a little bit. They'll give you a drop. And you'll come like a puppy running for it. And you'll be putty in their hands again. You understand that? So this kind of manipulation is what the Pharaoh does, and says he wants to kick you guys out of your land. Excuse me, Pharaoh? You never called this your land before. All the time you said these rivers flow under my feet. This is my land. This is my country. This is my kingdom. Now, not anymore. He can't do mine anymore, because they'll be like, "Bye. We got a better alternative." Okay? And he'll be the one hauled into jail and be saying, "This is mine." Not going to work. So he needs to get them. Sometimes you don't have to control people because you're stronger. Sometimes you can control people by controlling their emotions. And that's what the Pharaoh's good at. So he gives them this suggestion. And as he gives them this suggestion, they are now Team Pharaoh again, because they got some strawberry ice cream. They got a little bit of validation, yeah? So they say, أرجه وأخاه وابعث في المدائن حاشرين يأتوك بكل سحار عليم. I'm about to give you, I'm taking a long time. But anyway, this is important, so I should tell you this now. He says, let him go and let his brother go too. Don't throw them in jail. Do not throw them in jail. Why not? Because if you throw them in jail, the guard that will escort him to his prison cell is going to be, bro, that was epic. Give me 5. I'm going to tell all my friends, can I bring them over? Can you go over that whole speech again? Because that was like lit. And can you do that thing with the snake again? I really want to see the thing with the snake. Guess what's going to happen? The cops in the prison are all going to become Muslim. And then the prisoners in the prison are also going to become what? Muslim. And 2 days later, the cops and the prisoners will become an alternative army from inside the palace, and there's going to be a revolution. That's a bigger problem. It's better you take this guy away from the government offices. Let him go. Let him go. وَابْعَثْ فِي الْمَدَائِنِ حَاشِرِينَ. You know, go get gatherers to send them in all the different cities. يَأْتُوكَ بِكُلِّ سَحَّارٍ عَلِيمٍ. They will bring you the best magicians from all the different lands. They'll bring you the alternative that will combat Musa. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is, the next morning, all of Egypt knew what happened inside the palace. And the Pharaoh is absolutely humiliated. He's absolutely humiliated. He looks really bad right now. His administration is a joke. And nobody's taking him seriously, because everybody knows he got humiliated in his own house. So now he has no way of saving his reputation. He has to come with a desperate measure. I know. So the magicians have told, the generals have told the Pharaoh, وَبَعَثْ فِي الْمَدَائِنِ حَاشِرِينَ يَأْتُوكَ بِكُلِّ سَحَّارٍ عَلِيمٍ. Send recruiters in all the different cities, they'll bring you the best expert magicians. فَجُمِعَ السَّحَرَةُ لِمِيقَاتِ يَوْمٍ مَعْلُومٍ. The magicians were gathered for the meeting of a known day. It was a famous day, which was their national celebration day, right? We have July the 4th in this country, Independence Day. I was sharing this story in London a long time ago, and I said, you know, Independence Day. And I was like, wait, I'm in England. Everybody else gets independence from you guys. So, but anyway, they had some kind of national day, yay, we're slaves of the Pharaoh day, something. And they wanted to make sure that the nation, everybody, the whole population comes out in support of the king against the Islamic threat, the extremist Islamic Sharia threat of Musa. Right? That's what they wanted to make it look like. This is a national emergency. He's a threat to our truly patriotic. They weren't going to show up there in high numbers with the Pharaoh flag being waved. They were actually told by the soldiers to come to make it look like the nation stands united. In other words, sometimes governments stage what looks like a large gathering in their support, but they're actually not there on their own free will. Either they're paid or forced to come there. This is what used to happen thousands of years ago. Alhamdulillah, it never happens in the world ever again since. So that is completely irrelevant to our times. Anyway, so that's the propaganda game that they're going to play. And then, because the magicians became so popular, people started talking. And they said, لَعَلَّنَا أَن نَتَّبِعَ السَّحَرَةَ إِن كَانُوا هُمُ الْغَالِبِينَ. Maybe, after these magicians win, the government won't even belong to the Pharaoh. It'll belong to the magicians. Because they're the ones saving the country. They're the ones on all the ads. You don't see Pharaoh's face anywhere because his approval ratings went down. The only memes you get of him is like that and a snake. Like that's what Pharaoh's known for now. So he's not exactly an intimidating figure anymore. And the Pharaoh realizes that the magicians, who were supposed to be his solution, are becoming a new problem. Because people are becoming almost idolizing these magicians now. And he's created his own adversary in the form of these magicians. But the magicians themselves don't know that. Some of them are from New Jersey, some of them are from Ohio, some of them are from Wisconsin. They're all from different states, and they gather together, and they're practicing, and they're not even getting paid. They're not even getting, they came because the Pharaoh told them to come. Hashirin, the word used before, gatherers, is not people that are going to hire you. It's not mu'jirin, it's hashirin. They force you to come. You better come. You know magic? Yeah, you're coming. What you going to pay me? I'll pay you by letting you keep your leg. The Pharaoh said. You understand? So they're not being paid, and they're practicing magic in the gym every day. And one of these guys in the locker room is like, man, I wish I was getting paid. And the other guy goes, you're not getting paid either? I'm not getting paid either. And the other guy goes, I'm not getting paid either. But the contest is tomorrow. You know, we should get paid. And one guy goes, you seriously want to ask the Pharaoh to pay you? You know what's going to happen, right? He's going to kill you. He goes, no, guys, wait a second. All the posters, all the Facebook ads, all the YouTube videos, all the Snapchat commercials, everything has our face on it. He can't kill us. The contest is tomorrow. What's he going to do? He needs us. If there was ever a time to ask the Pharaoh for money, to blackmail him, to milk him for some cash, this is it. This is our moment, fellas. And so these guys, you guys don't watch movies, so it's hard to explain this to you. But, yeah, you're too Islamic, you're right. But you know, there's such a thing as mafia films, where there's extortion. And you know, there's an Italian mafia or some other kind of mafia, and they come to the Pharaoh. Mr. Pharaoh, thank you for seeing us on such short notice. The contest is tomorrow, and I'm feeling a little lack of motivation. I mean, if I'm not motivated, something could go wrong. You don't want something to go wrong, right, Mr. Pharaoh? Isn't that right, Mikey? Yeah, boss. Like that. They're going to come to the Pharaoh and say, you better pay us, or we're not sure if we're going to what? We're not sure we're going to win. The ayah says, you know, فَلَمَّا جَاءَ السَّحَرَةُ when the sorcerers came to the Pharaoh, قَالُوا لِفِرْعَوْنَ they said to him, أَإِنَّ لَنَا أَجْرًا إِن كُنَّا نَحْنُ الْغَالِبِينَ We are getting paid, right, if we're going to win? What is that supposed to mean? If you don't pay us, I don't know, something might go wrong. Things go wrong all the time. Right, Mikey? Right? So the idea being, now they are trying to blackmail the Pharaoh for money. And you can understand that this is the mightiest king on planet Earth at the time. Nobody gets to extort him. He has become that weak that even these magicians that he forced to come can force money out of him. And he can't kill them. He's stuck. So he says, Na'am, wa innakum idhan lamina al-muqarrabin. Which is, again, evil genius from the pharaohs, begrudgingly grinding his teeth. He says, yes, I'll pay you. And if you do win, I will give you close cabinet positions. I'll make you vice president of shirk. I'll make you governor of kufr. I'll make you minister of fitna, etc., etc. I will give you these jobs. Why is he offering them government jobs? They didn't ask for government jobs. But he's giving them government positions. Why? Because he knows that once they win, people are going to come to them, you know, you should run for president. And they're going to say, never thought about that. Because one person will come, another will come, another will come. And when 100, 200, 300 people come in to them and say, you should run, maybe you should run the country, it's going to go to their head, isn't it? So before they start trying to start a campaign of their own for the presidency, offer them the vice presidency. Smart move, huh? Right? Before they become a threat from within, because sometimes a member of your own party becomes a competitor. And because before they take votes away from you, you should make them part of your squad or bring them into your cabinet so that they don't get ideas of their own. Of course, this happened thousands of years ago with the pharaoh. It never happened after that again, and it doesn't exist in politics today, so it's not relevant to you and me. But anyway, it had to be mentioned just so you understand how things used to work thousands of years ago. But you know, the point is, we think of the Quran as something that's telling stories from thousands of years ago that don't have relevance or life today. But this stuff is pulsing today and is a commentary on reality in your personal life, in the world of politics, in the world of media, as it was thousands of years ago. It's just as alive and relevant, you know. As a matter of fact, people who fail to see its relevance used to say, Asatirul awwalin, these are stories of old times. When we start thinking these are historical stories and nothing more, then we're saying the same thing people who didn't believe in it said. We don't see that they're living events. You know, there's a commentary on life as it is now. Anyhow, so the Pharaoh says, I don't just want you to win. And I won't just give you government jobs. When you win, you better give me credit, because I've been looking pretty bad. You need to go out there and make me look good again. Which is why, when the day of the meeting came and the nation was forced to gather to watch this contest between Musa and the magicians, Musa a.s. said to them, Alqu ma antum mulqun. Throw whatever it is, cast whatever it is you're going to cast. Let's see what you got. فَأَلْقَوْا حِبَالَهُمْ وَعَصِيَّهُم. They threw their ropes and their sticks. And when they threw it, they didn't just throw it, they said, بِعِزَّةِ فِرْعَوْنَ إِنَّا لَنَحْنُ الْغَالِبُونَ. By the glory of the Pharaoh alone, that is why we shall win today. So they're giving credit to who? Pharaoh. All of our magic is because of the glory of the Pharaoh. Our victory is a glory to the Pharaoh. Because they've been paid to make the Pharaoh look good. In other words, their patriotism and their rhetoric that says we stand against this threat to our nation and we want to protect our country, all of that patriotism is not because they love their country. All of that patriotism and that loyalty to their leader is actually because they love money and they love power. Behind that patriotism is money and power. Sometimes you hear people talk about how much they love America, but what they're really talking about is how much they hate Muslims. And you think, why are these people hating us so much? Because they love America? And you don't even realize it's not even love of America. Behind those words, there's something else. There's money. And you keep responding to what you see on the surface. What you need to understand, our response as Muslims needs to be to the money that's behind it, the source. That's what Quran highlights. There's a corrupt financial source behind it that has an agenda. And it makes it look like this is patriotism or nationalism. It's not. It's not. It's immature for us to think like that. So anyway, now they've been told they're going to have these positions. The ropes and the rods are spinning around. And Musa alayhi salam, Allah gave him the blessing. فَأَلْقَى مُوسَى عَصَاهُ. Musa threw his staff. فَإِذَا هِيَ تَلْقَفُ مَا يَأْفِكُونَ. In a split second, it swallowed everything they made up. So this wasn't like 20 rounds. This wasn't back and forth, slow motion. It wasn't like that. It was just done. The entire nation was gathered. This is going to be like 3 hours. I brought my snacks. I got my water bottle, everything. This is going to be epic. I got front row seats. This is so good. Ding, ding! Round one. Like everybody's like, yeah! Wait, what just happened? Like it happened too fast. And when it happened too fast, the magicians who had been practicing for months realized that this is not magic. This is actually divine. This is from Allah. They were the first ones to realize it. The public thinks, oh, he must have had better magic. But the magicians themselves know this is no magic. This is way beyond what trickery is, what sorcery is. So they all fell into sajda, collapsed. They're on the ground with their heads on the ground. فَأُلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سَاجِدِينَ. The magicians, as a result, were thrown into prostration. Their heads are on the ground. And when they get up from the ground, they say something, but in order for you to understand what they said, I got to tell you a crazy story. Glory of the Pharaoh, we shall win today. But now they get up from sajda and say, آمَنَّا بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. We have come to believe in the Master of all nations and all people. And the Pharaoh's looking at them like, yeah, I know. So they have to clarify. Because when they say, we believe in the Lord, who's Pharaoh thinking about? Himself. So they say, oh, no. Rabbi Musa wa Harun. We actually mean the master of Musa and Harun. The master of Moses and Aaron. Oh, at this point, the hundreds of thousands that were gathered were given one message. Believe in Musa and Harun. Now, sounds weird, but have you guys ever been to like an Islamic convention? Right? If you go to an Islamic convention, a lot of people go mostly for the bazaar, right? And sometimes for the last speech of the evening. Yeah? But when you go to the last, and the conference organizers know that the largest crowd is going to be in the last keynote speech of the evening, right? So before they bring the final speaker that everybody came to see, they do a lot of, this conference has been sponsored by. You seen those boring ads that they play? Because they don't want to let you just listen to the speech, they want you to, and so they'll have like, this convention was brought to you by halal chicken. Please eat halal chicken. There's a halal chicken stand in the bazaar. The chicken is only 4 days old. Halal chicken. Thank you, Jazakallah khairan, halal chicken. And now we present our final speaker, like, and he comes in eating halal chicken. Anyway, so but you know, when you have a conference, you have a sponsor, right? What I'm getting at is, in the ancient Egyptian empire, this was the largest Islamic convention ever put together. And the keynote speakers were the magicians. And if there was a sponsorship announcement, it would have been, this Islamic convention has been sponsored by Pharaoh, believing himself to be God, actually paid for everybody to learn that there's only one true God. He paid for the whole thing. He organized the whole, isn't that amazing? And so now, what used to be a problem inside the palace of the Pharaoh, inside the closed quarters, inside the Oval Office, if you will, now has become a problem for the entire nation, hasn't it? Oh, it's 10 times worse now. It's worse than it ever was. So the Pharaoh has to be quick on his feet. He needs to figure out what to do now. He says, "Amantum lahu qabla an adhana lakum." You surrendered yourselves to him before I allowed you to? إِنَّهُ لَكَبِيرُكُمُ الَّذِي عَلَّمَكُمُ السِّحْرَ. Ah, he's your ringleader. He taught you magic. This was all a scam. This was a setup. فَلَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. You will soon find out how I deal with you. لَأُقَطِّعَنَّ أَيْدِيَكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ مِنْ خِلَافٍ وَلَأُصَلِّبَنَّكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I'm going to chop your hands and feet off from opposite ends. Left leg, right arm. And I'll leave you crucified in the middle of the streets. That's what he tells the magicians. He'll nail them to planks and leave them on the streets with their body parts chopped off. That's what he told them. Why did he tell them that? He told them that not because he was trying to scare them. It's too late for them. He was trying to scare who? Anybody who listens to them, that's what's going to happen to you. That's what's going to happen to you. And these magicians, before they get killed, they turn to the Pharaoh and say, "La dayra inna ila rabbina munqalibun." That's not a problem, go ahead. We're only going to go back to our true master anyway. They turn to him fearlessly and make that declaration. And they say, "Inna natma'u an yaghfira lana rabbuna khatayana an kunna awwalal mu'minin." We're only scared that Allah will, we're only hoping that Allah forgives our mistakes on account of the fact that we were the first ones to be brave enough to accept the faith. Which is their way of saying, we were brave enough, y'all need to get brave enough. Accept it. Stand up to the bully. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't compromise your faith on account of fear. Be who you are. That's the call that they made, And this is now, this state of emergency is going to bring things to an extreme. We are now at the final piece of this puzzle. And this final piece is something in previous story night events that I've spoken at, I've only spoken about this piece of the puzzle in brief. But what I'm deciding to do is I'll introduce you to it, but I'll hold a separate story night just for what happens from here on out. Because it's pretty important stuff. But I'll give you a glimpse. The generals, remember the generals? They hold a state of emergency meeting because the government's about to collapse. There's going to be a revolution in the country. Now the entire population is going crazy. So they hold a state of emergency meeting. And in that meeting, they turn to the Pharaoh and say, there's only one solution left to this problem. The only solution left to this problem is we have to cut it at the source. What's the source? Mosa. You need to give an executive order to kill Mosa right now. Because if you don't give that executive order, you are soft on national security. You're not equipped to be what's best for this country. If he dies, this mission dies. So and by the way, he has the entire full might of the military of the Egyptian empire. And he can give the order to kill one person. And this one person is not hiding somewhere. He's out in public walking the streets, isn't he? And so it's an easy thing to give an execution order for one person for the king. I told you before that the Pharaoh loved Mosa. He wanted to gaslight him but not kill him. Kill him emotionally but not physically, all this time. But now he has to choose. If he doesn't kill Mosa now, he might lose his government. So he has to choose between his love of power and his love of Mosa. Now it's time to pick. You can't have both. So what's he going to pick? He's going to pick his love of power. So he says, ذَرُونِي أَقْتُلْ مُوسَى وَلْيَدْعُ رَبَّهُ. Let me kill Mosa myself. let him call his God. Let him call his master. إِنِّي أَخَافُ أَن يُبَدِّلَ دِينَكُمْ. I'm now worried that he's going to change everybody's religion, your religion too. أَوْ أَن يُظْهِرَ فِي الْأَرْضِ الْفَسَادِ. I think that he's going to create a revolution in Egypt. That's too much of a problem. We can't have a revolution in Egypt. So the only way to stop that and the country falling into chaos is I'm going to order that he shall be what? Executed. But that's not enough. Because the Israelites, who are fellow citizens or the brothers to Musa, they might try to fight back. They might try to defend their prophet. I have a solution for that too. اقتلوا أبناء الذين آمنوا معه واستحيوا نساءهم. I want you to kill, listen to this, I want you to kill the children of anybody who believes in him. The Pharaoh's order is two things. Kill Musa and kill the children of anybody who believes in Musa. All for what? Holding on to power. Yes? The last lesson I want to leave you with is how drunk a person can get on power. They are willing to kill the person they love to hold on to power. They are willing to make sacrifices of innocent children to hold on to what? Power. But that's because that's the power of government, yes? The power over a country, the power over an army. But sometimes a person has to have power over a one-bedroom apartment. Sometimes a person wants to hold on to power over another person. The power over their children, the power over their parents, the power over their spouse. Sometimes somebody wants to hold on to power over their employees or their friends. And sometimes when they see that power drift slipping away, you'll be shocked to think, shocked to realize what they are capable of doing to hold on to that power. I never imagined you could be so ruthless, so out there, all because you want to hold on to what? Control and power. To control. And Allah is teaching us something remarkable. How can a human being be okay with the killing of what? Children. Don't kill his followers. Kill his followers' kids so they stay in line. Because in his mind, this is the crazy part, in the Pharaoh's mind, what he's doing is saving Egypt. He actually thinks he's doing what's best for the country. You understand that? In his mind, this is righteous. This is love of country. Love can become such a twisted thing, and holding on to, because once you start believing, the only way things are going to stay good is if I still have control. If I let go of my control, everything is going to be bad. So no evil is evil enough for me to hold on to my power, because if I let go of my power, that's a greater evil. So and there will be people that say, I want to hold on to power because I want things to get better. I want peace. I want harmony. And they will spill more blood, and they will kill more and burn more and destroy more, and say while they're doing it, I'm doing this to preserve what? Peace. I'm the one that wants to bring security. They're the biggest threat to security ever. And then this will happen inside a family, not with guns and spears and tanks and bombs. It's going to happen inside a family with insults and blackmail and ugliness and even lawsuits, all kinds of crazy stuff. And you'll be told, I'm doing this because I want you to be happy. And you'll be like, under the ground? Happy. This is how psychotic someone can become when they see their power threatened. That's how crazy they become. From here, the story takes a very, up until now we saw the back and forth between Musa and the Pharaoh. But from here on, Musa is no longer, the Pharaoh is no longer challenging Musa. Now he's challenging Allah himself. Now he's challenging Allah himself. Because Allah controls life and death, yes? So from here on, what happens from here until the end of this story, which is quite a bit of stuff, is some pretty heavy stuff about how the next 10 years went down. Now, the only clue I'll give you is Pharaoh tried to kill Musa, who was in Egypt and wasn't hiding for 10 years and couldn't do it. 10 years. Couldn't do it. And then the order stood. Kill Musa, kill those kids, kill Musa, kill Musa, kill those kids. And they couldn't do it. The mightiest empire on earth couldn't kill one citizen. How did that happen? That's going to be another story by itself. So I thank you guys for listening this evening, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it, inshallah ta'ala. I'm looking forward to finishing this off and with the